Japanese Prime Minister Kishida is in Lithuania to meet his counterparts from NATO. They've invited him to their annual summit, and the trip has already borne fruit. He and Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg sat down beforehand to announce a roadmap for boosting ties.
What happens in Asia matters for Europe, and what happens in Europe matters for Asia. And that demonstrates that security is not regional, security is global. And that is demonstrated by the ongoing war in Ukraine, which has global ramifications.
Japan and NATO will never allow unilateral changes to the status quo by force. We share the view on the importance of maintaining a free and open international order based on the rule of law.
The new document sets out a 4-year plan starting this year. It points out that Europe will be affected by how tensions play out in the Indo-Pacific. There are 16 key areas of cooperation for Japan and NATO. They include cyber defense, security in space, and a response to destructive uses of AI and quantum technology.
We'll speak today and fight for this, its security guarantees for Ukraine on the way to NATO.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also at the summit. He wants his country to join the alliance as soon as possible. The leaders have already released a communiqué on the issue. It'll go some way to pleasing Zelensky because they've dropped some of the requirements for his country's membership. But crucially, it lacks a clear time frame, something Zelensky described as absurd. French President Emmanuel Macron says he'll bolster Ukraine's arsenal by providing long-range cruise missiles. Ukraine's defense minister, Oleksiy Reznikov, is also in Lithuania. His counterparts from 11 countries say they'll help train Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 fighter jets. Denmark plans to host some of the sessions this summer, and Romania is expected to follow suit later in the year. One expert says the lack of clarity between NATO and Ukraine might have much to do with Washington. Tsuruoka Michito is an associate professor at Keio University.
The
Biden administration's extremely cautious stance is the main reason they were unable to come up with a clear path. They couldn't make any further commitments at a time when they didn't know how the war will pan out. On the other hand, Poland and some Baltic countries are keen to advance towards Ukraine's membership. Zelensky expressed pretty strong dissatisfaction with the lack of a clear time frame for joining NATO, and I think some members feel the same.
Still, Tsuruoka suggests Zelensky's position has been strengthened in other ways.
In a sense, the fact that there was no progress on the issue of membership means Ukraine has gained leverage when it comes to getting more weapons support.
And he also says Russia will be watching the events in Lithuania very closely.
It's very important to look at what kind of message NATO sends to Russia. In particular, officials in Moscow are aiming for what they call support fatigue in the West, and they believe a long battle will be to their advantage. Based on that, we should be looking at what support NATO is willing to provide Ukraine in the medium to long term. But as far as the wording on membership goes, the message is rather weak.